Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today we're making backgrounds with Izink. Izink is an acrylic-based pigment ink, and it's made by a French company called Aladdin, but it's distributed by Clearsnap. Now, the really cool thing about this product, not only does it have an absolutely gorgeous color palette, really beautiful, rich, true colors, but it also has some really unique properties. Number one, that it is permanent. So this means that it can be used to create layers like you see on the front of my card. So here I actually have 3 layers of 2 different colors of Izink. First, you can see this beautiful orchid pink on here and then this mimosa yellow. These 2 have been brayered onto the cardstock. And then I've created a 3rd layer here, again with that orchid pink, using a stencil. Now, the really nice thing is that because the colors are permanent, you can work in layers like this without the layers mixing and becoming muddy or over blending. Yet it can also be blended with water or rubbing alcohol. So really some unique properties to this ink and lots of fun to use. So let's get started with this background. I'm going to bring in a piece of glossy white cardstock, and I like glossy cardstock for this because the brayer just tends to roll a lot more smoothly on it, and the colors do move also more smoothly on it. So I'm using the rollograph. This is also from Clearsnap, a nice wide brayer here, and that's going to be how I'm going to get my color onto my cardstock. Now, the 2 Izink colors I'm working with, again, as I mentioned, orchid pink and mimosa yellow. And just as I'm opening up the orchid pink, you can see here it's got a really nice little dropper applicator on here. So that's what I'm going to use. Now, first I need to give it a little bit of a shake. And then what I'm going to do is just pick up a little bit of color from here. You don't need to have a whole lot. And squeeze some drops randomly onto my cardstock. A little bit goes a long way, so you don't have to overdo it. And I do want to keep some white on my background too. So just a few drops on here, and then I'm going to move that color around with my rollograph brayer. Again, wanting to leave some white areas on here so that I do take advantage of the white cardstock being part of the layering process too. So here's my pink, and I think as I'm moving this, you can see that there's a bit of a shimmer to that orchid pink. It's just beautiful. Now this is pretty much dry, so I can go ahead and add my mimosa now. Again, give it a little bit of a shake, and I'm going to do the exact same process as before. So just squeezing out some of the yellow, and I'm going to put it in areas where there's not a whole lot of pink so that I can take advantage of that. And once again, grab that rollograph and brayer this color on here. I love the combination of yellow and pink, especially to create layers, because I think that yellow just gives a really beautiful glow to the pink. So here you can see I have a really fun kind of abstract background. Now I could leave it as it is. It looks really fun like this. I could die cut it, I could cut it into pieces or punch it. But I've decided to add another layer, and that's going to be with a stencil. So the stencil that I'm working with is also from Clearsnap, and this is the Lattice stencil. This is from Ann Butler. It's one of their art screens. And then I'm just going to place this down onto my cardstock, and I need to apply color through here. So in order to do that, let me scoot this aside a little bit. I'll bring in a repurposed yogurt lid. This is my palette. And once again, my orchid. Give this another little shake and putting just a couple of drops in here. Don't need a whole lot. Again, this product does last quite a long time. It goes a long way. So I'm going to then use an applicator for this, a stylus. This is also from Clearsnap, and this has a little foam applicator on the top. Now these can be taken out and interchanged, but I'm reusing this because I've been using it for the same color for a while now, so you can still do that. I'm just going to pick up a little of the color here. I'm not oversaturating my foam tip because I don't want the color to be seeping through my stencil pattern on here. So I'm going to use a light touch, and I'm just tapping through here and then kind of using a circular motion to get it through some of the lattice openings on here. Now I'm not going for complete coverage. I do want it to be a bit of a random effect. So I'm just coming into some areas here, pick up a little bit more, not overdoing it. Of course, you can always add more if you want to. And then I'll lift this off, and you can see I have a really fun brayered and stenciled background. And then I can do with this as I want. I can die cut it, I can use it for my background, I can do even more layering with it if I wanted to. And so let me bring back in the original card and I'll show you what we've done. But first, you may have a question too about the stencil and about getting the Izink off of the stencil because it is permanent. You can use a little bit of rubbing alcohol. That's what I do. Just squirt a little bit of rubbing alcohol in there and wipe that off, and the color will come right off. So my stencil can be clean once again. Now, for the background here, I've simply put this down onto black and then yellow cardstock on the front of my card. You can stamp directly onto your Izink background. And for that, I've tried lots of different ink pads. From pigment inks to dye inks, and I found that the Surfaces ink pad was the most effective and gave me the best looking result. This is still very crisp, very clean, and the important thing that happened with the Surfaces that did not happen with other ink pads is I didn't have my ink or my stamp sort of sliding around on the surface, because remember, this is a glossy cardstock. So sometimes when you stamp with an ink pad that is too juicy, the stamp sort of slides around and creates a blurred effect, and that did not happen with the Surfaces. So I recommend that. The stamp that I'm using is from Hot Off the Press. It's their Heartfelt Greetings stamp set. And this is one that, as you know, I use quite a lot. And so it says, "You're in my thoughts." But you'll notice it's a really crisp, fine line on that stamp. So you do want to have something that will capture the detail of that. And the Surfaces worked really well. Now for my card focal here, this is a die cut, also from Hot Off the Press. And this is their Wildflowers. So you can see you get this nice big focal image and a little butterfly on there too. It is a pretty detailed cutting die, and a lot of people want to know, how do you get something that is so finely detailed to be glued down onto your card without glue sort of seeping out through there? And I wondered the same thing, and then I came across Stick It. And this is a double-sided adhesive that you put down onto your cardstock before you die cut your image, and then you can peel it off. So here's one that I've got with a portion of it with the Stick It on there. You just peel off this liner here, like so. I think you can see the shine of that adhesive, and then put it down onto your card front or whatever paper you're working on. And it just makes it so much easier. It really has changed the way that I've been using die cuts. So that's great for something that is really intricate like this silhouette design. The last little bits that I've added on here, a little bow with some gingham ribbon and some self-adhesive gemstones. That's all you need. Once you have that beautiful background down, you can keep the rest of the card pretty simple. So this is how you can create layered backgrounds using Izink inks. I really hope you enjoyed today's show. For more ideas and inspiration, please do stop by my website at saranaumann.com. If you enjoyed today's video, I invite you to subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I'll keep you updated with a new video every Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me on Studio SN, and I'll see you again next time.